They've done it! They've already done it! Newcastle United have won a domestic trophy for the first time in 70 years. They won like the something Fairs Cup in 69, but a domestic trophy, a trophy that, 70 years! Dunking out Premier League winners-elect. Arne Slot's Liverpool, who are having a torrid time, by the way. We'll get into that, mate. We're going to get into that. This is a sensational, a gargantuan footballing story, purely because Newcastle United they're a massive club. They've got such a massive support. Like, it's a one-club city. St. James's Park is always sold out. Such a intensely devout fan base. Look, I'm a Chelsea fan. I watched a very turgid, worrying, toothless performance away at Arsenal earlier. But I'm also a football fan. And my giddy aunt, she's off her nut somewhere. She's on the ceiling because this was a pick-me-up that I needed. And Newcastle, it was their time. They've done it. They got Alexander Isak. But the thing is, the rest, apart from Isak, and maybe, I don't know, Guimaraes, it's not really a superstar team, but they are just a good team. Goals from Alexander Isak, the aforementioned, England's Dan Burn, who's having a wonderful swan song in his career into his 30s, suddenly getting to play for his boyhood club Newcastle, playing in the Champions League, now getting called up to Tuchel's England, and now scoring a very important goal in the cup final to see Newcastle United win their first domestic trophy in 70 years. It's lovely stuff. Look, man, I said on my Instagram, I'm happy for, Chelsea don't have any particularly rivalry with Newcastle. Look, I'll say it very fleetingly and briefly. I'm not massively in for the whole sports washing, state-owned club projects stuff like, PSG, Man City, and indeed Newcastle to a degree. But that's geopolitical, that's political, that's above the footballing situation. You cannot begrudge these players, Eddie Howe, and the Newcastle fans this monumental moment, who have, by the way, the Newcastle fans have been through it, bro. Talk about, my own opinion about geopolitical stuff of ownership aside, their last owner, mate, was an absolute whopper. They had to deal with his nonsense. And they've been through it, and they've got this moment, and it's just such a nice story in football. Do you know what I mean? They've ruddy done it, mate. And it's just, look, Liverpool are a massive team. They're going to win the Premier League. Newcastle fans and neutral fans, of course, and Liverpool fans will understand this, all wanted Newcastle to win this, and they've ruddy done it, and I'm going to talk about it today, mate. So thank you as always for joining me. It's actually my birthday, and although Chelsea couldn't deliver me a win on my birthday, which is very frustrating and rather predictable, I'm sorry to admit, I got a nice footballing story here. In a cup final, the underdog winning, a team that perhaps doesn't have that many haters in Newcastle. Again, just finally doing it. Eddie Howe, vindicated for being kept there. A good coacher of players. And I'm looking at the SofaScore page for reference here. Much better than Liverpool. Of course, Liverpool crashed out of the Champions League, outplayed by PSG over two legs, and losing. They're, of course, got kicked out of the FA Cup by Plymouth Argyle, which was, again, a huge, monumental story. I don't care how much Liverpool rotated. Look at that attack that played against Plymouth Argyle. A Plymouth Argyle that had conceded a record amount of goals in the whole of the English footballing pyramid, and they beat Liverpool. Look, I'm not saying Liverpool will be it's a little bit Crimea River because they're going to win the Premier League. And for context, I know Liverpool have won one Premier League, but it was the season where they had to celebrate it in an empty stadium because of the pandemic. That is absolutely not the case now. They'll win the Premier League. They'll have a parade. It will be nuts. It'll be an amazing experience for them. And yeah, great. Lucky, that's amazing. But like almost equally, because Liverpool are such a huge club and, they win Champions Leagues, European Cups, won Premier League, but league titles back in the day. This is huge for Newcastle. Absolutely monumental. By the way, a quick little bit of housework. If you want to support the content, why not subscribe? It is my birthday. So why don't you like and subscribe? But it's not about me. It is about Newcastle. 4-3-3, Pope and goal with Dan Burn and Fabian Schär in front of him. Kieran Trippier getting an all-important assist. Chelsea Academy graduate Tino Livramento playing left back, of course, in the absence of Lewis Hall, another Chelsea Academy fullback who'd been excellent for Newcastle lately, but of course he's injured. Tonali, Joelinton and Guimaraes, which is a great midfield, by the way. Very, very balanced. And a front three of Isak, who I think personally is the best striker in the league. I put him ahead of Haaland because I just think he's a better footballer than Haaland. Haaland is an amazing finisher in the 18-yard box. But in terms of I've said this before on multiple platforms that I think Isak, I'm not saying he's as good as Henry or he's as good as Drogba, but he's got a blend of both elements of Henry and Drogba together, which inherently makes you amazing. But he's flanked by the unsexy, but good Jacob Murphy, who got an assist, and Harvey Barnes on either side. And it was an amazing team effort. And of course, you got Kelleher, the cup keeper for Liverpool. But you got, look at this team. Of course, Trent's out and Conor Bradley's out, the deputy. So there's a back four of Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, and Kwanzaa. It's their favoured midfield of McAllister and Gravenberch, which is winning them the Premier League. And then you got Luis Diaz, Dominic Szoboszlai, Mohamed Salah, and Diogo Jota up top, making the four attackers. And then you see Curtis Jones, Darwin Nunez, Cody Gakpo, Harvey Elliott, and Federico Chiesa come on. Chiesa, who of course scored the goal for Liverpool. His by far the biggest moment in his Liverpool career. And Chiesa is such an interesting situation and story because he's not done anything this season. He's just not favoured at all. We sort of know him as this guy who's played for Fiorentina, and then was it Juventus? And obviously footballing heritage he comes from. We'll know him for England fans. We'll know him from scoring for Italy and stuff like that, and high profile moments, and as a talented player. But he had another high profile moment here in a final. He's seemingly that kind of player. I think maybe there's a. I wonder now, hindsight, 2020, but I wonder if there's a case to say that Chiesa has been underused by Arne Slot. Possibly, I don't know the details, of course. But I'm looking at, again, I'm not going to share screen because it's pointless, but I'm looking at the stats here on SofaScore. The attacking momentum is pretty much all Newcastle in the first half. And then maybe 50-50 in the second half, but they're 2 goals up. So they're defending it right until the stoppage time when, of course, they get one back. Newcastle are dominant in the first half, and of course, big Dan Burn, assisted by Kieran Trippier, scores the opener from a header, from a corner, I guess. Forgive me if that's wrong. Set piece vibes, it might be a crossing. I think it was a corner. And Dan Burn, unmarked, the tallest man on planet Earth, just nods in what can only be described as an excellent header. And then Isak scores, but he gets a goal ruled out, which I think is kind of harsh. Bruno Guimaraes is standing in an offside position in front of Kelleher, so that's why he gets ruled out, even though he's not going for the ball. But Kelleher can see the ball, and he's going for it. So for me, I think it was a little bit soft, possibly harsh. And then Isak scores very soon after, actually, assisted by Jacob Murphy. It's a great goal. I mean, I could spend time waxing lyrical about Alexander Isak, but I don't think there's much point to it. He's an amazing player. It was an amazing goal. And you know what? They're 2-0 up. In the 52nd minute, they could be 3-0 up, 4-0 up, and you would not begrudge them that in terms of the stats. And in fact, just for context, let's give you some stats, yeah? Let's give you some stats. So in the first half, Liverpool edged it with possession, yeah. But Newcastle had 9 shots to Liverpool's 1. Yeah, 9 times the amount of shots. Second half, Newcastle had 25% of the ball, but remember, they were defending a 2-0 lead, so they were like, off you go, boys. You can have the ball. They still had 8 shots to Liverpool's 6. Liverpool had 3/4 of the ball, and they still only had 2/3 of shots that Newcastle had. It was such a deserved win. And of course, look, there was the late goal from Federico Chiesa, who made an excellent run in the 94th minute. Yeah, split the defenders, got the ball, finished well. Harvey Elliott assist, and he was well onside. I don't know why it took so long VAR to have a look at it, because it was fine, and it was a great goal, and it makes you think like, I don't know. He just seems like he should be maybe utilised a bit more. I can't really speak. Liverpool fans will correct me because they would have seen him in the cups and whatnot. But I tell you what, they did look gassed. Of course, they got crashed out of the Champions League midweek on penalties. They ran around a lot. They got run ragged by a very young and vibrant PSG team. And, credit to them for getting the goal back and believing. But, you would not have put it, past Newcastle to make it 3-0 or whatever. And it was, Newcastle were absolutely deserved winners in this game. I think everyone will agree on that. And, man, and they've done it. I mean, I'm looking, a word on Salah as well. An amazing footballer, Mohamed Salah, will win the Golden Boot. He'll win PFA Player of the Year. He will win Premier League Player of the Year because of his goals and assists combined. But, of course, there's been this talking point on Mo Salah that he's not a big game player. Certainly that was demonstrated in his absence in the Champions League. But, I mean, what did he do here? Because he's so direct, Salah, he's not the kind of player that can just take the ball and dribble in field by himself and do some magic. He wants to stay in that channel. He wants to be direct. And to be direct, he needs certain freedoms afforded to him, like space, his teammates doing well, everything sort of functioning. And when that doesn't happen, he seemingly doesn't clutch as much. Look, I don't want to denigrate Salah. He's an amazing player. But, Jota, who played up front, he's a good finisher, a great finisher. Despite being a diminutive small player, he's actually really, really good in the air, scoring headers. But, yeah, they lost. Liverpool lost, and Newcastle deservedly won. Eddie Howe has done it. He's done it now. That's it. It's vindication for the new ownership keeping him. What did they bring him in? What did they keep? I can't remember. Still, him lasting, certainly. And then backing him. He's a great coach. He's a great coach of players. And it's just a wonderful footballing story. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I wonder what will happen now of Newcastle. I mean, let's be real. It's the League Cup. It doesn't bring any money, at all. But it brings status. You've won a trophy. You've just won. I mean, more than anything, for Newcastle in isolation is they've won a major trophy. End of story. Done. It's there. They've got a Wembley trophy lift, beating Liverpool, the best team. Well, up until so recently, the best team in the land. The Premier League winners elect. Amazing story. And I'm happy to react to it. So let me know what you think. Comment down below. Thank you for liking and subscribing to Football Yannick. And I do hope to see you back here soon. Take care of yourselves. Peace.